brother of mine who was curiously content in his own world, and no one else was really invited in. And that's a brief excerpt. I wanted to give you an idea of what it was like growing up with a brother with a disability. It was both a challenge, but also a joy. And it was really rewarding, but it was also perplexing because when I turned 13, a tragedy hit our family. Our dad was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was 38 years old, and I was 13, Big Boy was 12, Crystal was 8, and the twins were 6. And you know, it was interesting because we had a typical kid reaction to the loss of a brave firefighter father, and Big Boy's reaction was altogether different. And I'd like to just read to you how I conclude in my book, because I can't say it any better than the way I wrote it. And I conclude in the final chapter. My brother Big Boy is in his early 40s and he's doing just fine. His disability shielded him from the agony of our father's death. My mother says about 8 years after our dad died, he looked at my mother and said, "Daddy's dead and he's never coming back, huh?" We were shocked to learn that Big Boy may have considered our father's passing a temporary condition. It was certainly the first funeral that any of us had ever been to. And it turns out no one ever fully explained the permanence of death to Big Boy. Undeterred, Clarence, as he's known, graduated from Uniondale High School in 1989 with a diploma issued by the Committee of Special Education. My mother demanded that all 5 of her children graduate, including Big Boy. Now, he's a cartoonist, and he has thousands of original characters that he's created. Some he calls Lard Ball and Super Stretch. Every time one of his siblings has a birthday, he draws us a custom-made birthday card with one of his unique characters on plain white paper that he folds in half. He never misses our birthdays. He and my mom live together in a house on Long Island, just a couple of miles away from me and the rest of my siblings on Long Island. And Big Boy enjoys music and special programs. He even used to participate in a program with Corky, who's here tonight, or the actor known as Corky. They go way back. But Big Boy stunned us all when he became then Senator Barack Obama's biggest fan. We were all shocked because we thought he didn't know anything about politics. But somehow this charismatic politician from Chicago awakened something in my 40-year-old brother. During the campaign, Big Boy drew Obama campaign posters and showed them to everybody. I kept one that he designed where one of the cartoon characters said, "He's my kind of president." And the smaller character replies, "The most greatest ever." I wanted to change the grammar when he wrote, "Please vote for it." I wanted to change it to "Please vote for him," but you know what? It was perfect just the way it was. Because it was the first time any of us had ever seen Big Boy really come fully alive and take interest in something outside of his private world. It really was a needle on the record moment. Startled by my brother's sudden political interest, I bought every Obama t-shirt, sweatshirt, underwear, Lulu's, you name it. I bought it for him, and he literally wore it every day for the entire campaign and still wears it. Some people with autism tend to be repetitive in their actions. So I'm not sure Big Boy really knows Obama won. But I know he knows in his own way, but he still campaigns for him every single day. This from a little boy who spent his entire life enveloped in cartoons, eating Skippy peanut butter sandwiches, and little else. Oh yeah, the mean people called him Cheryl's retarded brother, but we got the last laugh. Oh, did we? Big Boy is doing better than most of those insensitive clods that disparaged my baby brother and made all of us cry. When I had the honor of attending President Obama's inauguration, I thought of Big Boy. I called him every step of the way. I was freezing down to my drawers, but I called Big Boy from my cell phone on the lawn of the Capitol and said, "I'm here, Big Boy. I'm watching Obama being sworn in." And his reply was, "Woohoo! Way to go, sis." And on top of that, Big Boy proved to be remarkably similar to my dad, his namesake Clarence. He frames every award and every citation that he's ever received from programs over the years. He has dozens of bowling trophies on a shelf and plaques on his wall. He has certificates of achievement for his artistry from the county executives in Long Island and beyond. And his biggest award was when he entered a contest and won first prize for creating the winning logo for VESIC, which is the Vocational and Educational Services for Individuals with Disabilities. As I stood in my brother's bedroom gazing at all the awards and trophies, I said, "Big Boy, do you remember Daddy? Do you have a picture of him?" He opened a drawer and opened a tiny album about that big on his nightstand and handed me a picture. With tears in my eyes, I saw a photo of my dad when he was at his finest. A church deacon with a Sunday school book in his hand, dressed to the nines in a tailored dark suit, holding Big Boy's hand. And he couldn't have been more than 2 years old. Of course I remember Daddy, sis. I was so choked up that I had to sit on my bed and weep. What a ride, and who knew? Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present my brother, Clarence.
Many thanks. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Clarence Wills, and I am very happy to be here. I'm just a happy guy at heart. I have a pretty big family, as you can see. My older sister, Cheryl, is like my best friend. Naturally, we're just like peas and carrots. She just loves my artwork, and she tells me that I'm going to be the great artist someday. And then there's my mom, whom I call Mother Dear. She is truly the rock of the family. Right after our dad died, she stood by us through thick and thin and never ever gave up on us. Where would any of us be without our dear mother? I thank God for my mother. I don't know where I'd be without her. Well, naturally, I have 3 other siblings, Crystal, Celestial, and Cleavon. five of us had a lot of fun during holidays, especially during Christmas. We played silly games and stayed up all night waiting for Santa. Boy, those were the days. Those were the good old days. I'm really happy to have 4 siblings. They have always been there for me, and I will always be there for them. I do hope you enjoy the artwork on the tables. I made it just for you. It's one of my favorite characters. For most of my life, I've been creating cartoon characters. One day I hope to be like the great Charles Schultz, who created the all-time favorite Peanuts characters. Snoopy was my favorite when I was a kid. I also like Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, Mickey Mouse, and Mighty Mouse. Boy, those were the good old days. Let me tell you. Just one day soon, you will see some of my characters on television, in comic books, and in the movies. I will never ever forget how nice the good folks at the International Sibling Conference. I thank you for inviting us. I'm really having a blast. And just like the old saying goes, blood is thicker than water. We are stronger and wiser because we have siblings who are the best friends that anybody could ever have. These are still the good old days for sure. Thank you.